It's me, Griffin and DayShawn here, and today's topic is going to be about climate change. And climate change, for me personally, is a very complicated topic. To be honest, it's kind of depressing to talk about it. So I'm going to talk about some of the science behind climate change. DayShawn's going to talk about some of the political stuff about it. So first, I looked up the definition of climate change, and it is a change in global or regional climate patterns, in particular, a change apparent from the mid to late 20th century onwards and attributed largely to the increased levels of astronomic carbon dioxide produced by the use of fossil fuels. So go on about that. Excuse me. So a fact that I saw online was that coral reefs. Coral reefs are a big part of our ecosystem in the world, and by 2050, a majority of coral reefs will die off. Which you may think, oh, that doesn't it doesn't matter to me or anybody else. Well, about a third of people in the world are dependent on the world's oceans, specifically the fish that feed on the coral reefs. And if you do not have coral reefs, then those fish die, and soonly or like later, people will die from starvation because they depend on those fish of the coral reefs. So that's yeah. And it's just I don't know. To me, like if you don't care about the future of your tomorrow, then what's the point? And it's just horrible to see some global leaders like don't care about climate change. It's just horrible. I just to me, I wish people could be educated and know more about climate change. Another thing I want to point out is I'm wearing a shirt called, if you can see it, Tuvalu. You may not know what that country is, but it's a country in the middle Pacific Ocean, and it's sinking. By 2060, most of the islands in the Pacific, like Fiji or my example, Tuvalu, will be under the water. And another thing about that, you may be speaking like, hey, I live in New York and the water's not high enough or anything like that. Well, a majority of people around the world live within a 100-mile radius of the ocean. And they say between 2060 and 2070, Miami will be under the ocean. That is nuts. Speaking that it's 2021 and they're predicting 2060 to 2070. That's 59 years from now. Like that seems far away, but hey, we saw that 2020 went by like that. So, yeah. And yeah. That's what I wanted to share about today. DayShawn, if you'd like to say some things, say something now.
Yeah, it all goes back to like what you were saying with planning for a better tomorrow, with also not looking from your point of view, but looking at others. Some people decide to shun that away and not care about it as much. Yet most others, decide to get themselves involved in helping the planet by recycling or doing whatever they can to make sure generations and generations don't have to pay for our mistakes. I currently and strongly disagree with the current administration's what is the word I'm looking for? Handle on climate change. Them calling it a hoax is a danger to our country, a danger to countries that ally us, a service to countries that are enemies of ours, like such as North Korea. Excuse me. But there's so much to be done with climate change and with our handling of it, that maybe we can prevent Miami going under, or prevent the islands of the Pacific going under. Maybe it's too late. Maybe we've dug ourselves a hole that we can't get out of. But I think looking to our children and our children's children to pay for our mistakes that we're doing in the present is just blatantly wrong. We've done it before. We've seen it doesn't come out. We're on the wrong side of history while doing that. For example, with slavery. Slavery went from that to Jim Crow laws to civil rights to now, and we're still in racial tensions are as high as it has been since the 60s. And we've paid for that through riots, through protests, through unarmed Black men dying by the hands of police, and many more. It's something that we tend to turn a blind eye to. It's something that needs to be handled very soon. And I hope the next administration can somehow, some way dig us out of this hole of racial tensions, of just an overall bad state that our country is in, from the coronavirus to what happened at the Capitol a couple weeks ago. It's embarrassing, to be honest. It is almost embarrassing to call myself an American. I know, Griff, you may not feel the same way, or maybe you do.
No, I totally agree with you. Yeah.
It's embarrassing because a lot of countries look to us to be, this juggernaut of a country, or this empire that's built over the last 200 or 300 years or so, and we're not that. We're far from that. We're at our weakest we've been since maybe the Great Depression. I mean, the stock market continues to fall. The our overall health of our country, 1 out of every 8 Americans in our country have been infected with COVID-19. And in my eyes, that's just, it's poor handling, it's not caring, and it's not taking it serious. He wants our president, the president as of right now, called this pandemic a hoax. Also the same thing with climate change, and it's all spiraled out of control. We could have been out, I wouldn't say fully out of the pandemic last year, but we could have been in a better position where we don't see thousands and thousands of Americans dying every day, and the death toll started to rise to almost 400,000 now. 20 million or so Americans are infected with COVID-19 as of right now.
25.
And number, say it again.
25 million.
25 million. My mistake. And the numbers keep rising. And I don't expect numbers to go down until maybe summer, or start to look into a positive way until the summer, maybe even late into this year. And that's no knock to the Biden-Harris administration, to what they plan on doing, or are trying to do right now for their current administration, current administration coming up. But that's more or less a reality. We've dug ourselves in such a hole, with the current administration and their mishandling with the pandemic, their mishandling with climate change, with racial tensions, and even last couple weeks with the invasion of the Capitol, what the president did that day was shameful. It was not right. He incited an invasion of our nation's capital, doesn't and continue to not take responsibility of it, and rightfully so. He's the only president to be impeached twice. He's paid for that, and I think after he's long gone out of office, he should be indicted. Just a couple weeks ago or so, they finally indicted Rick Snyder, my mistake, for the Flint water crisis, and that took too long itself. So with all he's done within the last 3.5-4 years of his presidency, he has left this country worse than when he has found it. He is probably the worst Republican president since Herbert Hoover. Maybe even Nixon, but then again, the economy with Nixon wasn't doing as bad as it is now. Nowhere near. So, I mean, there's definitely hope for us as people and us as a nation. Every day in the administration now, hope starts to dwindle. The hope starts to be far-fetched. I know many Americans are more or less upset with how he's handled everything in his presidency, from taking credit for a economy that he inherited from Obama, to the almost World War III nuclear war that we had with North Korea, to the pandemic, to last summer's racial tensions high with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor dying, to the invasion of the Capitol, to now. I mean, the last 6 days, he hasn't spoken to the media. He hasn't taken credit for what he has done. He hasn't conceded the election that he fairly lost, and continues to try in court and continues to lose those. So, I mean, when someone says that this president has done all he can for our country to be in a better place, it's laughable, because I think he's done the exact opposite.
Done, DayShawn?
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to hear all what you have said. I want everybody to have their voice heard. And everyone out there, if you disagree with us or agree with us, I just want everybody to know, just respect each other's opinions, and just don't be, I don't know what the word to say, just like don't be rude to one another. Everyone should know what is the right thing to do from what is the wrong thing to do. And just to go back on some of the things that DayShawn said about climate change wise, here's the thing: if we do not mitigate the situation or adapt to the situation of climate change, which in fact exists, then we're going to suffer. And apparently, according to some scientists at the University of Johns Hopkins, they say by 2100 that the average temperature around the globe will be over 100 degrees if we do not stop climate change. That's nuts. Just thinking, walking to school and it's 110 degrees outside. Would you like that? No, you wouldn't. I bet.
Even what you're saying, Griff, if I may add on, we in Michigan now see 100 degrees as middle of July, like a couple of days out of the month kind of thing. Like that's its peak, where it's hottest in Michigan. Even then, with California, the wildfires running rampant the entire summer last year, and them not getting as much rainfall as they did before. And even now in Michigan, we haven't seen as much snow as we've seen, say, 5 or 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's
There's
only
been there's
snowed
been
twice this year.
yeah, there's been what two Christmases in my life that I've never seen snow, and they've been the most recent.
Yeah.
And it's sad. At the same time, it should be awakening for us as people, for the our global leaders. And I don't know if there's enough time to do so. I mean, we can. There's definitely things we can do to limit it with stop you or to lower the use of coaling and mining, and investing into electricity to power our globe, our nation, or our world. In fact, and it's been, I won't say it's been proved to do so, but it's highly likely. We've done our entire first semester of school through technology without even having to see each other. So there, from there on, is nothing but progress.
Yep. So can I say something? So the University of Seattle, where Bill Gates invested a lot of money in, he said he's now kind of like a professor there, not really, but
Yeah.
the university says that if every state in the country is powered by renewable energy resources, which means solar, wind power, hydroelectrical,
Yeah.
biomass, which is biodegradable energy, nuclear power, everything, not coal, then we would have almost zero carbon emissions. Like our carbon emissions will degrade by 70%. That is like insane. But here, the sad thing about that is that Michigan is what I looked on. It's like I think it was an energy website, and they said that 32% of our state is powered by coal power plants, which doesn't seem like a lot, but that's the majority of the state is powered by coal power plants. The rest is nuclear power and wind farms. So if we can increase that over the next 10, 20 years, then we're going to be looking really good. But every state in the US and every country in the world has to do that on their own stance.
The only way I can see it not being able to be done is with is the money behind it. We're not a poor country by any means, but then you have certain governors and people in power who won't um, commit to a plan like that, just because they've been running on our country's been running on coal and fuel for so long that it became more of a second nature type of thing. There's so many plants and that run on fuel in the state of Michigan alone, that make cars, for example, that it would be a totally different um, you know economics report through Michigan itself, let alone have the entire country change from coal and mining to solar, wind power, electricity, all that. There's hope within that, but you know humans tend to mess things like that up because of our selfishness, our greed that we all crave, can mess uh those plans up. For example, like in a perfect world, communism works. In the perfect world, communism works
You're kind of true.
because everyone's equal. There's no hierarchy. There's no class. In a perfect world, trickle down economics that Ronald Reagan used works, because the higher ups, the rich, they stay rich. The lower and middle class become wealthier. They're the rich's wealthiness trickles down into the economy. They start businesses and they hire people who are less wealthy. It works, but since we are, as humans, are trash, and want greed and money and all these other things, the rich stay rich, and it doesn't trickle down into the lower classes.
And the poor stay poor.
And the poor stay poor, for sure.
Which is very depressing to even say that, but in all reality, it's true.
In all reality, it does. It does. It is a sad thing to think, that the power of money is more dreamful than the health and wealth of another human being. That's sad to think of.
So that is kind of like all that, like the renewable energy stuff and the money. That's why I support the Green New Deal that Barack Obama and Biden were supporting years ago, but never passed the Senate.
Congresswoman, I don't want to butcher her name. She goes by AOC.
Yeah, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Yes, she continues to campaign on that, which I completely love.
Yeah, I agree with it 100%. Yeah, your taxes are going to get raised, and a lot of people disagree with, oh, my taxes and stuff like that. Well, it will like help you in the future. You won't be paying as much for your electric bills or your water bills,
Exactly.
People don't think about that because they're not.
They only think in the present and now, and not how that can trickle down into our future. Because there's going to become a time where Social Security won't be a thing anymore. And those benefits that our elders have won't be, used for maybe us or our children when they get older. So you have to start investing in like sacrificing some things now to have a better future. That's a thing that has been, preached from childhood to we're adults. You have to sacrifice the time to have a better future. For example, like if you want to become great at something, you sacrifice those those parties or whatever that you want to do in high school, and then you work on your craft, and you later become great at your craft, and you may or not get paid for your craft. Take sports, for example. Do you think most of those well-known athletes, once in a generation like athletes, were going out every Saturday and Sunday night to party with their friends? No, they were either working at their craft or doing something to become better at their craft. So investing in now, and like for example, like you said, raising taxes with the Green New Deal, it helps for when you're 70 years old and you don't have to work anymore, and you're not paying as much as on your water bill. And it also sets your children up and your children's children up for a better future.
Yeah, that's the thing that a lot of the congressmen, congresswomen, and senators in the legislature don't understand about, and they need to be their representatives of their people, not of their ego, which is just yeah.
It's frustrating as a citizen, because we know what can be done and what should be done,
but they're not doing it.
They're not doing it to help us because of their lack of thinking about other people and not themselves, and not thinking about whether they'll be reelected or not if they make this decision, other than thinking about whether families are going to go hungry tonight. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Either does me. Yeah. I don't know. So is that all for you, DayShawn?
Yeah, that's really all for me. I mean, I think we covered a good chunk of it.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, thank you, everyone. Hope you enjoy this video. And again, disagree or agree with us. I hope each of you learn from something from this, and please know was right from wrong and common sense, and just respect each other's opinions. That's all I can say, and that is all. So have a great day, everybody, and see ya in the future.